Welcome back, everybody. Great to have you back. This is the fifth and final installment of this series. This is where we take a closer look at foam cutting pads. And as you'll take notice, there are many of them, even more than there are microfiber pads and wool pads put together. And these, when it comes to cutting, they are in various shapes, sizes, cuts, and colors, as there are different types of cut foam pads: harsh cut, medium cut, light cut. You can see the flat edges. There are beveled edges, chamfered edges, there's spider cuts. There's a pad for every one of you out there. There are also regular flat-faced pads. There are hex pads, diamond cut pads. There are waffle pads. We're going to get into what they do. Here is a diamond cut pad and what they are meant to do. And we'll even demonstrate a few in a few short seconds. Right here's a waffle pad. Like I said, all shapes and sizes down to 2-inch, 1-inch. I'll show you what I use these for towards the end of the video. 3-inch, 4-inch, sizes for every tool and every backing plate. Let's first get into low profile versus thicker pads and what I recommend for the beginner. For the beginner, I recommend a thicker pad. They will lift the backing plate away from the surface and keep you out of trouble, especially if the pad has a beveled or chamfered edge anyways. As you can see, the pad will bump up against the handle here before your backing plate will, and again, that'll keep you out of trouble. The lower profile, we're going to get a closer look at these pads, foam pads, all different types, but you'll see one basic similarity: their structure. But let's talk about low profile. A low profile pad will give you more power to the surface from the polisher. Power transferred from the backing plate through the polisher. It doesn't have far to go because of the low profile, and it'll give you more power to cut. A thicker pad, it will lose some of its energy coming from the polisher and backing plate to the tip of the pad. And that's another reason I would recommend a foam pad for the beginner as well. Some of the cutting power and the aggressiveness is cut back a little bit. We're getting a close look here. This is a type of spider pad. This is where it has cut grooves within the face of it, and you can see all the way down through. The structure is the same. The difference between some of these, some are open cell pads, perforated pads, and they can breathe. They let air circulate. Some have membranes right here at the face of the pad, membranes in between those little foam fingers there, and they keep the polish or the compound towards the face of the pad and make it more effective. So it's a give and take, so many different pads. Here we're going to take a close look at one of the waffle pads. Waffle pads and the hex pads and diamond cut pads are made to have a little bit of a pocket of air circulate through the face of the pad as it's working. They're all shaped a little differently, so more air through one pad, less air through another. We're going to show the type of temperature change between some of these pads and how some are more effective than others. We saw wool pads, microfiber pads. These foam pads here, depending on what they are, can spike the temperatures on the surface the most out of all three of these. Some microfiber pads can as well, but these give them a very good fight as to spiking temperatures, which are the worst enemy for clear coat. Again, you'll see that basic similar structure, just small differences. Some perforated, some have slots within the face of the pad. We're going to demonstrate how those work right here. We have three types of pad: a regular flat pad, waffle pad, and a hex pad. I'm going to run those pads on a polisher on the panel for 25 seconds using the stop clock here. Pull that polisher and pad away, take the temperature, and we'll see which one spikes the most out of all three. Okay, a little difficult doing everything with just two hands here, but this area spiked at 104 degrees. Next pad, just a regular foam cutting pad, medium cut. This pad here spikes at 118 degrees. We'll write that down here. And finally, the Hex Pad, which is quite similar to the diamond cut pad. And this one here will spike at 91 degrees, somewhere around 91. And I would have guessed, because the Waffle Pad has even less parts of the pad that are touching the surface, to be the coolest, but it isn't, and I'll explain why a little bit later. There you get a little demonstration that, yes, they do run a little bit cooler than regular pads. All right, let's get back to this car. We do have a deadline with this. We only have the fender and driver's side door to finish, and there's splatter and all kinds of debris and contaminants on the fender here, so we use an IP solution, clean that off. So we don't clog up our pads. We do the taping. We've done all the way through the correction here, and I'm going to show you and demonstrate how clean this has kept the seams in between the fender and the trunk and the fender and the hood in just a few short seconds here. There we go. Didn't take time at all. It's actually a piece of tape I transferred from another area. We didn't waste anything. We have both corners protected, both edges, and the seam is closed off. Let me pop the trunk. This is where we were working back here. We did a lot of sanding and cutting. As you can see, the corners are protected, they are safe, and the seams are perfectly clean. Off camera, I went ahead and did my spot correction with 3000 grit sandpaper. I showed you in the other installments of this series why and what I was doing there. And we can hop right to the Hex Pad. We'll do the cutting portion on the front fender here with the Hex Pad, and that's on a long throw polisher. You could also use pads on a rotary as well. I prefer beginners to use those pads on a dual action polisher, and then when they get used to the rotary, maybe throw on one of the Waffle Pads, which are going to give you the best ride across the panel with a rotary. But if you're experienced, of course, you use just about anything you want. Everybody's different, again, and there's no wrong answer. I personally will only use foam pads when I'm going to finish down after cutting either a heavy cut or a medium cut. And that's because I just believe or feel that the foam pads don't cut to the chase like a wool pad or a microfiber on the right polisher will. So I'll cut with those, and then I'll use... so I cut with Lake Country microfiber and Lake Country wool, and then I will go to the Buff and Shine line for one steps and also finishing. Buff and Shine, the Eurofiber microfiber 50/50 pad, and also their finish pads and light polishing pads are fantastic. Some, including friends and co-workers, prefer the foam pads to cut over microfiber and wool. To me, it takes a little bit longer, but hey, they still all do a fantastic job when all said and done. As you can see, scratches, the sand marks, the love marks, the etching and the staining, all gone. A great job from the Hex Pad. Perfect? No, far from it. There's scratches through the clear, too deep into the clear. There's some paint chips, old paint chips that have been repaired. I just left those go. Not perfect, but a huge turnaround. All right, now more importantly on a foam pad, they need to be cleaned as often as you can. A brush, it doesn't have to be forced air. It could be a dedicated brush. There are pad cleaning brushes. You can get the bucket cleaner. They're a little bit pricey. I can't really even recommend them. That's how pricey they are. But if you do have access to forced air, that to me is the best way. Using a pad cleaner, a little bit of a brush to agitate, and then blow that stuff off of there. With very little effort, like new again. As we take a closer look at the Hex Pad to make sure it's clean, you can take a look at the edge. This is where it drops down into the crevice where the air flows as the pad is down on the panel. And I went ahead, finished the rest of this fender, turned out nice. Moving right along, we only have the door left. And I'm sure some of you have seen some of the clowns down in the comment section that want me to get an inch or two away from the panel so they can examine and see that everything's removed. Guys, I'll tell you what's removed and what's still there. I always have, I always will, using the shop light. I have nothing to prove after 3 decades of doing this. I have also nothing to hide. If you don't take solace in that, then you can go check out one of the marketing channels. That's fine with me. So we just have this door to do, and I'm going to spot correct in 2 areas like we have the other panels. And like I said, all of these scratches and imperfections, they're all very superficial, like a cover was on here. I recommend if you guys have a cover, make sure it's a snug fit. And if it's outside, the wind catches underneath and starts flapping it, it'll rub up against the paint and you will have some, you'll have damage like we see on this vehicle right here. And it's going to take a little bit of time and a lot of money to take it out. I get asked often about covers from customers and those of you out there in detailing world. If your car is properly protected, a ceramic coating, let it breathe. You know, if it has no protection at all, you want to give it a little bit of a break from UVA, UVB, get a nice snug cover. Other than that, you know, throw that cover in the corner of your garage somewhere. Okay, now we can get to the waffle pads. And you would think because there's a very little pad touching the panel at the beginning when you first start using it and a ton of airflow that this would be one of the coolest pads. However, because of the structure of the pad, once you start using it and once it starts to heat up and once you introduce fluids and compounds and polishes, it softens up that much that pretty much the whole face of the pad is touching anyways. And it's going to be, you know, maybe a little bit cooler than a regular pad, but not much because of that fact. As I've been using the pad, it's softened up, and the compound has softened up the material as well. And had it not been for the curvature of the door, the pad would be pretty much flat on the surface. And you know, the waffle pads, those are pads I recommend for beginners when they're throwing them on a rotary because they do give a nice soft ride across the panel. Some of the best rides that a foam pad will give when attached to the rotary. However, other than that, I don't use them. You'll see once I remove the residue and grab you guys and bring you in close, you'll see that it does get the job done, however. Just takes a little bit longer. It did a really good job. All I really have to do is take that haze out right there by finishing it. So I went ahead and off camera finished the rest of the door here, and that makes the job complete. I just have to go around real quick with a finishing polish, a fine polish, just to remove all the hazing, clean it up a bit, and we're good to go. But before I get to that step, there are two more things I want to take care of, and we could talk about more foam pads, just tiny ones. This little guy here fits on the edge of, or the end of one of the rotary extensions. That is a 5/8, or over Europe, the M14 extension, male. And that goes on the end of a rotary and will help you cut the inside of door handles, hard to reach areas. You've seen me use this tool. There are cutting pads, finishing pads, cone pads, little tiny pads. There are even little wool pads for this guy, and I really do recommend getting this. You can use this for interior polishing on trim as well. We can also get to extensions for the rotary, and these are the extensions I use. There are many different kinds. There are single piece extensions, 3 of them that you can change depending on what length you have. I have these little guys here. They are machined and milled perfectly. Smooth, no vibration, and you can take them apart, put them together like transformers. Remember how they would come together as a kid? I went and fabricated this sleeve, going to Home Depot and grabbing insulation pipe insulation. Works perfectly. Actually even fits over a portion of the backing plate. So put all those together and you can reach in areas like this. You can see, perfectly smooth, no wobble, no vibration. And if the sleeve happens to bump up against a panel of the car, either the sleeve will spin, stop against the panel, or if it does spin, you're not going to have damage. You're just going to have to use a little bit of a cleaner because the sleeve will leave a little bit of residue behind. No big deal, no damage to the panel or whatever you're working on. That is gonna do it. Most of the time I'll show the car after it's been protected. I back the car out after finishing it off with fine polish and then using an IP solution or a panel prep. No cherry on top here. No tire shine. The windows aren't done. It's been IP'd, but there's no protection whatsoever. That clear coat is naked, and I pull it back out into my harshest critic, and that is sunlight. A huge turnaround, yet again, not perfect. Some of the deeper scratches too deep into the clear to go after, or through the clear, and some of the etching that went down through the clear as well will remain, but they are few and far in between now that we've done wet sanding and we cut with all those different types of pads. That will wrap it up for this series, and there is much more to come. Guys, there's so much I could share with you. I could probably do 2-3 videos a day if I had the time. If you like the content, like, subscribe, share, smack that notification bell. It'll let you know when there's fresh content from this channel available to use. Love you guys. Thanks for sticking with me. Take it easy.